to AMs with Annette, your UK business update. Thank you everyone who is joining me. I massively, massively appreciate it. So this is AMs with Annette. This happens Mondays to Thursdays at 11 a.m. UK. My name, for those of you that don't know, is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I'm an income strategist, profit mentor, chartered accountant, and I help business owners take home more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. Today, I'm going to be speaking about all things UK business. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Emma, lovely to see that I am top live. Hey, Footy 120. Hello, Sapphire. Hello, Nell. I cannot sing any national anthems, but thanks for asking. Thank you for the follow, Danny. Thank you very much for everyone who's joining me. Hello, Ross. Hello, Samuel. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in. Clockwork Muggy on Instagram and Mac on Instagram as well. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining me. That is awesome. This is AMs with Annette, your UK business update. So thank you for tuning in and joining me. If you do have a UK business, this is going to be of interest to you. So what we do in AMs with Annette, if you are new to this, hello Richard, thank you for tuning in as well. Lovely to see you, lovely to see you. Footy 120, I did give you a shout out already, but thank you for joining me as well. Thank you for joining me, Ruby, everyone who is tuning in. I do appreciate it, whichever platform you might be on. Thank you for joining me today. This, as I said, for those of you that are all hopping on now, hey Charles on Instagram, thank you for joining me. For everyone that is hopping on, this is AMs with Annette, UK business update, Mondays to Thursdays at 11 a.m. UK, where I cover off all things to do with with UK business, with the economy, with support available, all those kinds of things. So that is what we are covering and speaking about today. Of course, if you have any questions on this as well, I am happy to answer those too. So if there's anything that you are wondering about UK business, about the economy side of things, then please do let me know in the comments and I will certainly answer those questions as well. It is lovely to see so many of you on, and I do always, as always, very much appreciate the love, the hearts, the likes, the thumbs up, the shares, the follows, all those wonderful things on whichever platform you're on and whatever it is that that you guys can do on that platform. And then I do appreciate it very, very much. Hey, Harry, thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Lovely to have you. So we have a question in from UK Blonde Bombshell saying, what's housing prices going to do? This is really interesting because at the moment we have actually seen housing prices increase, and that they are believing that's pretty much only in England, because the housing market in Scotland only just opened up yesterday. I'm actually not sure what the Wales and Northern Ireland housing markets are doing, but certainly in England, we've actually, with the housing market reopening, we've seen an increase in property prices. They are putting that down to a pent-up demand situation, but actually we may expect them to fall after a sort of 3-month period when that demand has kind of worn itself out. So what we are expecting to happen is we're expecting a slight dip in property prices after the next 3 months, but we might also expect to see some kind of difference between country and city living. So we might expect that places in the country, actually house prices might remain stable or even increase, whereas city centre, we may expect them to decrease, because people are living in cities getting fed up, worried about things like this happening in the future and wanting more space and therefore moving out. So we may expect that to be happening. It's difficult to tell at the moment because the housing markets throughout the whole of the UK have not reopened yet. As I say, Scotland only opened yesterday. England, of course, opened a couple of weeks ago, but in England, we have seen initial increases in house prices. We expect that to only be around for around about a 3-month period. There's also going to be, of course, an impact as well, because there's been changes to mortgages and what you need for deposits as well. So we're seeing first-time buyers being pushed out a lot too, as the 95% mortgages are being taken off the market and people are needing higher deposits. So I hope that answers your question. But that is, that's what we're seeing at the moment. So thank you for asking that, though, UK Blonde Bombshell. Jane, hey to your nan. That's very exciting. Oh, what have we got? Close. There we go. Let's see if we've got anything else. When the house prices fall, how much might they fall by, and how long? Blondie Bombshell's asking off the back of that. Hard to tell at the moment. We are expecting that we'll be in recession for 2 to 3 years. So, we can expect that they might be certainly at least suppressed for a period of time. Rising unemployment as well, is happening too. So we might expect the suppression to last for a decent period of time potentially. Hey Jazz, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. So thank you for your question, UK Blonde Bombshell. I do appreciate it very much. Thank you for everyone who is online and tuning in, whichever platform you might be on. Do give me a hello if you are joining me, whichever platform you are on as well. I do very much expect that we may have a recession turn into a depression. A depression is there's no completely overarching definition of what a depression actually is in reality, but most economists deem it to be a period of at least 2 years in recession, and that is what is expected. It's expected will be at least 2 to 3 years in recession. Therefore, by the sort of generally used definition by many economists, then that would be a recession. That would be a depression. That would turn into depression. So yeah, that is the expectation. Ben is asking where I am from. I am from Scotland. I am based just south of Edinburgh. Is where I'm from. We're also seeing a YouGov poll showing that 42% of businesses expect to have fewer employees in a year's time compared to before lockdown. Sectors highlighted by that poll were media and marketing, manufacturing and financial services. Lots of businesses are also saying they're going to need less physical space, not just because of less employees, but also increases in working from home as well. So with 42% saying that they expect to have fewer employees, with 9.1% million people on furlough at the moment, many saying that they are, of course, hidden unemployed, then, these are all going to have knock-on effects in the general economy in terms of a recessionary period, depression potentially, and also in terms of the housing market as well, like you asked previously. So they're all interlinked as well on that. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are today. Thank you for joining me. I do very, very much appreciate it. This is AMs with Annette, UK Business Update. I do these Mondays to Thursdays at 11 a.m. UK. So thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining me. The UK economy has contracted more than initially estimated in the first quarter. The output dropped by 2.2% in Q1. The initial estimates had 2%. That's the largest fall in output since 1979. And of course, we only had lockdown from the 23rd of March. So only really the last week in March, and that, as I say, record contraction, largest contraction since 1979 on that side. So again, coming into these recessionary, the recessionary numbers as well. Might we see a fall in the pound with Brexit and COVID? Might the UK be hit harder than others? Yeah, we have already seen a fall in the pound as a result of COVID, and it is expected to get worse with Brexit. With Brexit, we are expected to see anyway a further shrink in the economy, and we are also expected to see an increase in unemployment as a result of Brexit. So both those things were already kind of penciled in as expectations come the end of 2020. So yeah, we can expect it to be compounded further the issues with the economy compounded further as we come into Brexit, particularly if there's a no deal, particularly if there's a no deal situation where we can't agree on things like trade tariffs. We are going to be hit financially. Business and the economy is going to be hit again come the end of the year. Yeah, it is. There is this strange situation on for everybody who are on other platforms. There's this funny thing that seems to be happening on TikTok where people want to come on and tell me that there's weird things behind me. So yesterday I had somebody say I had a spider and a scorpion behind me, despite not living anywhere where scorpions live. And today someone's telling me there's a moth behind me. So thanks, but how funny. Let's see. It's As6Lee. I can give you a shout out, but I really am struggling to pronounce the second part of your username. But the first part is it's and then an underscore. So my apologies that I cannot pronounce your username there. Here we go. Let's see what else we've got coming through as well in terms of questions. If you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments. Please do ask those. Izzy Wizzy saying, wait, Brexit happened already. Well, yes, in part. We're in a transition phase at the moment. We have not separated our economies from the EU at the moment at all. So yes, although part of it has happened, actually the full split has not happened, Izzy Wizzy. So that's why we're expecting economic impacts when that actually happens. Maria Lovely 35, thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. iComments is asking, do I need a pension? Depends on your own risk profile and depends on a number of things there, but you know, and your own age as well, and which country you're in. You know, if you're in the UK, there is, of course, a state pension that is available when you get to that age. The age depends, of course, on when you were born as to when you hit that. But, you know, typically it is a good idea to have something in place for retirement, whether you believe that you're able to live off the state pension, whether you believe you need a personal pension, or whether you have other investments or saving vehicles for that, you will need to factor in something for retirement, unless, of course, you plan on working all the way to the very end of your life. So you will need something for that. What's the likelihood of a no-deal Brexit? I'm not sure on that one. In all honesty, I'm not sure on it. I don't have a good enough feel on what the likelihood of it is. I feel like the UK is probably relatively stubborn on agreements, and I also feel like in many instances, why would the EU want to give us an easy ride in terms of the Brexit negotiations? Because they don't want to set a precedent for everyone to leave. So why would they make it easy on us? That's where I kind of sit on that. Outie Guy 2020 saying, why don't we have an economic stimulus package like Germany? Our economic stimulus package is due to start being announced over the next few weeks. So that's coming down the line. Germany, of course, had their peak earlier than we did. And our economic stimulus packages, part is due to be announced, I believe, today on the 30th of June. And then we are expected a statement from the Chancellor after that as well, so probably in 2 to 3 weeks time in terms of the full economic stimulus as well. John is saying, am I going to stand for election? No, in no way am I interested in standing for election or being a politician, but thank you for asking that question. RHR60, thank you for tuning in, thank you for joining me. So if we get a no-deal Brexit, what's the likelihood that Scotland will leave the UK? I think that I would expect that if there is a no-deal, well, I would expect anyway for Nicola Sturgeon to be petitioning again for another referendum for potentially leaving the UK. The problem, though, that we have now is, of course, the UK has this mountain of debt as a result of coronavirus. And if Scotland leaves the UK to join the EU, but if it leaves the UK, then an allocation will move to Scotland. An allocation of that debt would become Scottish debt. And that is going to be very, very difficult for a Scottish economy to take on. Because if Scotland were independent at the moment, the likelihood is that they wouldn't have been able to introduce things like furlough to the extent that it has been given by the UK government. Therefore, if Scotland get their allocation of that in the event of Scotland wanting to leave, it is likely that that would cripple the country, and actually Scotland would struggle with their economy to survive that. So that's going to be another thing that's going to be a real problem in the quest that Nicola Sturgeon, of course, has to be a separate Scotland. She's already stated that she wishes to be part of the EU. And that's going to cause an issue. That's going to cause a problem. So yeah, that's where we are on that. Thank you everyone who is tuning in. Dr. Richard, thank you for joining me. Dimitri, thank you for joining me again. It's lovely to see you on. I do appreciate it. Hey Violet, thank you for tuning in. If Scotland left the UK, would it or could it automatically join the EU? No, not automatically. It would have to go through the same tests as other countries when they join. So no, it wouldn't. I am going to just block somebody on TikTok for inciting violence. So apologies for that. But let's block that person. We don't condone any. Don't condone anybody calling for violence anywhere. So that is that person blocked. So yeah, that's where we are. So along with the UK economy contracting, we also see that household deposits have actually soared during lockdown to record levels. Bank savings have increased by a record amount in May, while consumer credit borrowing remained lower than usual. Of course, many people trying to preserve their own cash as much as they possibly can over this point in time, going out less, spending less as well. So those two together, meaning that people are holding on to money. Of course, some people as well agreeing things like mortgage payment holidays so that they can hold on to cash in the short term, aware of the impacts longer term, but wanting to hold on to cash in the short term because they are unsure of everything to do with their finances and therefore wanting to protect that as much as possible, perhaps unsure about their jobs in the future as well. So we are seeing that happening. We're also seeing the Sage SME Tracker's latest findings have been published. They find that many SMEs cannot now afford investment that they need to grow their business while growing demand for, they're having growing demand for extra government support too. So the problem is when SMEs don't have the funds to grow businesses, then that creates a knock-on effect in terms of employment and in terms of the economy in general. So that creates a big issue as well, not just for the business itself, but also the knock-on effects in terms of the economics too. What would we do? Something to make? Would we do something to? I'm not sure what your question is. Comments. Why would we do something to make our economy worse? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not sure what country you're in when you say our economy, so I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure specifically what you are referring to. Yeah, Violet, I have blocked him. It is awful. I don't have people inciting violence in my comments. So I have. Oh, Brexit. Why would we do something that makes our economy worse? It doesn't make sense. Well, there's many arguments for Brexit, and people who voted to leave the EU had other reasons other than just economic ones. And also people, when they were voting, many now say that they didn't have the full picture. They didn't know exactly what they were voting for. So there are many reasons why a country would choose to leave something like the EU, and they're not just economic. That's the thing here. let's see what else we've got here. I'm going to cover off. Oh, I've got a really itchy nose as well. There is a suggestion that fraud markers against traders' names could be the reason why some have been refused bounce back loans. Of course, bounce back loans put in place for businesses so that they can access loan funding up to £50,000, but thousands have been rejected despite it being 100% underwritten by the government. And many people have been left holding on for very long periods of time in order to access the funds. And there's been suggestions that that is because there is potentially fraud markers against those businesses' names by the banks, and therefore they are not lending on that basis. Whether or not that is true, of course, we don't know, but those are the suggestions that are coming out as well. Oh, itchy nose. And also, of course, despite that, 920,000 firms have been successful at securing bounce back loans too. You are welcome, I comments. You are welcome. Vicky, thank you so much for following me. I very much appreciate all the likes, the loves, the shares, the hearts, the follows, whichever platform you are on. I very, very much do appreciate it. So thank you so much for all of that. Alicia's Jane is saying, I wanted to stay in the EU, also got more of a chance of being able to move abroad like Spain or somewhere else. Yeah, it's a pretty tricky one, unfortunately, Alicia. You know, there are many reasons why millions of people voted to leave. The question is, did they vote for the right reasons? We just don't know that answer, and we are where we are, unfortunately. In many situations, incidentally, I don't typically talk politics very much on my lives, but I didn't want to leave the EU either. But that is what it is. Let's see, what else have we got? Vicky, thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words. I very, very much do appreciate that. Yeah, exactly, we can't turn back time, unfortunately. Will the Chancellor take action for the 3 million people excluded from support? IT Guy is asking. I don't think so, actually. No, I don't think so. And I haven't thought so for a couple of months now. I don't think there's going to be any measures put in place for those people who have been excluded from support. In all honesty, I know there's a lot of campaigning happening, and I know that there are now, you know, more MPs also on side of the campaign. But I actually don't think so. No, I think the answer from the Chancellor now will be, well, most people can open up, get on with it. I suspect that would be the Chancellor's view. Now, I don't think that the people excluded will have any kind of backdated financial support, unfortunately. I wish they did, but I don't see that happening, unfortunately. That's weird. Let me see, what else have we got? Let's see. I think that's me, got most of it. Oh, my video is turned off on Facebook. Oh, that's weird. I wonder what's happening there. Sometimes that happens. How very strange. Let me see if I can fix that. Sometimes it does weird things like that, and I have no idea. Let's try turning it off and turning it back on again, and let's see if that works on that side. My apologies for that. Hopefully that fixes it. Hopefully that turning off and on again has sorted that video. We are also hearing that the Treasury has had to borrow another £50 billion in August. Borrowing has hit £275 billion in the opening months of the financial year, and that's the third revision to the financing requirements of the Treasury since March. So that is also putting a toll. Of course, we know that the UK debt is now higher than its GDP, which is always going to cause issues for a country. And then the question is, how does that get paid back? There is a discussion that we should be treating this as if it is a war debt, as if it is similar to a war debt, and we should have the expectation that we actually pay it back over a very, very long period of time. But whether or not that will that will happen, or whether there'll be tax measures in the next few years to try and recoup it faster, will remain to be seen. And we may hear a bit more about that over the next few weeks as we get more information from the government on that as well. Hey, support your key workers. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Where does the government get its money from? The government borrows from central bank, the Bank of England, by raising bonds, by tax revenues. So the government gets its money from lots of different sources in terms of that. Let's see what else have we got. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in and joining me. We are live, of course, across multiple channels this morning, as I always am, 4 a.m. with Annette, your UK business update. So we are live on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and of course within the Uncover Wealth community, my private and free Facebook group as well. So if you are a business owner, I would love to invite you to join me inside the Uncover Wealth community if you're not already a member in there. It's my private Facebook group, and I have exclusive sessions in there, exclusive trainings, and I also exclusive content in there too. So I would love for you to join me inside the Uncover Wealth community if you're not already a member in there. And most of the platforms, you can get the link in my bio, or you can just head over to Facebook and type Uncover Wealth Community into the search bar. You'll be able to find me there. I have my training today for Training Tuesday called Clear Signs You Are Ready to Expand Your Business. So if you are a business owner, I invite you to join me in there as well. I will also, of course, be live again tomorrow at 11 a.m. for this session once again, AMs with Annette, UK Business Update. So speaking about all things UK business. So do make sure you join me then as well. I would love to see you there. I'm going to sign off for now, but thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time as always. I know it's incredibly precious. So thank you for spending some of it with me, and I will speak to you all again tomorrow. Take care, everybody.